everyone, welcome back to Southern Ghost Stories, where we talk about some of the most haunted places in the South. I'm your host Chelsea, along with Alan.
Hello.
We hope you enjoyed last week's podcast on Le Pavillon in New Orleans. If you're interested in finding out more information about the property or other haunted locations in New Orleans, check out our New Orleans Ghost Map app, which allows you to customize your own ghost tour along with our book, Southern Ghost Stories, Historical Hauntings. Today, we'll be talking about the Rutherford County Courthouse in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, which is a little over 30 miles southeast of Nashville. The courthouse is one of only 6 antebellum courthouses in the state. Legendary figures from American history such as Davy Crockett, Sam Houston, and future presidents Andrew Jackson and James K. Polk worked in the building during the early parts of their careers. But before we get into the history of the courthouse, we really need to go over how Murfreesboro and Rutherford County were founded.
In 1803, parts of Davidson, Williamson, and Wilson counties were redrawn to create Rutherford County. Afterward, in 1811, the town of Cannonsburg was formed within Rutherford, taking its name from Newton Cannon, a local veteran and the future governor of Tennessee. Cannonsburg would eventually become Murfreesboro, named after Colonel Hardy Murphy, an American Revolutionary War hero that had recently passed away. In 1818, Murfreesboro became the capital of Tennessee. For those of you wondering, Nashville was the state capital from 1812 to 1817, and then again permanently in 1826. Prior to these events in Rutherford County, in the year 1813, a courthouse had been erected and equipped with a jail, a whipping post, and farm stock on some land that had been donated by a famous American Revolution veteran and early Tennessee settler, Captain William Lytle. The courthouse was home to the state legislature until it burned down in 1822. Years later, in 1858, a new courthouse was built. Within 2 years, a bell and clock tower were added. Not but a short time later, in the early years of the Civil War in 1862, the Federal Army stormed into town and seized the courthouse, starting an occupation of Murfreesboro. The courthouse became the headquarters for the Union Army. The clock tower became their lookout.
On July 12th of that year, on Nathan Bedford Forrest's 41st birthday, he led a group of Confederate soldiers to the courthouse in a bid to rescue captured soldiers who were scheduled to be hanged the next day. Forrest and his men busted down the courthouse door and set a fire in the building that caused chaos, which Forrest and his men capitalized on, forcing the Union soldiers that were in the building to surrender. The Confederacy camped out on the courthouse lawn until January of 1863, when, at the Battle of Stones River, the rebels were defeated again by the Union, who once again reclaimed the courthouse. After the Civil War ended, a third floor was added to the courthouse in the early 20th century to complete its current structure, and despite a tornado hitting the building in 1913, the courthouse escaped with only minor damage.
On April 6, 1923, a man calling himself the Human Fly arrived into Murfreesboro. He was accompanied by an assistant who could do tricks on a bicycle. The Human Fly asked for permission to climb the courthouse using only his hands and bare feet. During the age of Harry Houdini, the Human Fly routine and others like it were not that uncommon. Upon showing city officials newspapers that detailed a similar successful climb on a much larger building in Iowa, they reluctantly agreed to the Fly's request. The two men then went around town to raise money for the performance. They came back with $12. Don't sound like a lot, but today that's approximately $175. With 200 spectators gathered around the courthouse that night, the Fly began his ascent up the courthouse. A spotlight from a fire engine highlighted his every move. With purpose and determination, the man quickly began to climb the courthouse, and after approximately 30 minutes, he made it to the top of the tower, where he triumphantly straddled the weather vane as townspeople cheered below. While making his descent, the Fly stopped briefly on the ledge of the courthouse clock. Ever a showman, he decided to climb back to the top for an encore. However, by that point, a light rain had begun to fall, and within a few moments into the second descent, The fly fell 40 feet below onto the roof of the building. When paramedics finally got to him, they found he had died instantly of a broken neck. After the fall, officials scrambled to learn the identity of the man. However, the fly used a stage name, and even his assistant, Ray Royce, didn't know who he really was. No one knew the fly's identity, so city officials decided to have him placed in a glass casket at a funeral parlor across the street. They hoped that someone would claim his body. Eventually, he was identified as James A. Deering. According to legend, he was buried in an unmarked grave in Evergreen Cemetery a few miles away.
Around World War II, many interesting events took place in the Murfreesboro Town Square at the courthouse. For example, the terrain there resembled land in Europe where battles were fought. The military decided to hold drills there as a result. So thousands of soldiers descended upon the town with tanks and other military vehicles. After the war was over, a parade was held in the town square honoring General Douglas MacArthur and his family, all of which were in attendance. Today, the courthouse still serves as the administrative headquarters for the Rutherford County government, and as Murfreesboro grew, the courthouse expanded. 2 wings were added on the north and south, giving the building much-needed office space to keep up with the growth. As one of only 6 antebellum courthouses in the state of Tennessee still serving its original purpose, the courthouse stands as a living place of history.
With all the history of the town square and courthouse, it's no wonder that many claim the location is haunted. As mentioned previously, during the Civil War, part of the building was used as a hospital for wounded soldiers. From what I've gathered, most of the paranormal activity takes place during non-business hours inside the courthouse. I've talked to people who work inside the building, and they've told me about doors that open and shut on their own really late at night and also early in the morning hours. Those people also spoke of hearing voices and footsteps in the halls when no one else is in the building. Some people who have taken pictures outside the courthouse have noticed strange-looking orbs in them. Locals believe that the ghost of the human fly still hangs around the building, still suffering from the tragic fall that ended his life so abruptly. There have been reports of seeing a shadow moving around on the clock of the courthouse late at night. In addition to the courthouse, I know of at least 3 houses on East Main Street, just a few hundred feet away from the courthouse, that are said to be extremely haunted. It's likely that these spirits inside the home are some of the people who perished during the battle when Nathan Bedford Forrest stormed the courthouse and took it from the Union during the Civil War.
We hope you enjoyed hearing all about the Rutherford County Courthouse. If you would like to learn more about Murfreesboro, download the Nashville Ghost Map app in iTunes. Also, be sure to check out our website, southernghoststories.com, along with our book, Southern Ghost Stories, Historical Hauntings. Please feel free to leave a comment or send us a message on our Facebook or Instagram accounts and let us know about any creepy experiences you may have had. Also, please give us some ideas on which location you would like to hear us talk about on future shows. Be sure to subscribe and check back with us next week as we discover the Seelbach Hotel, one of the most haunted places in Louisville, Kentucky. But before we get to the history of the courthouse, we really need to, but that doesn't make any sense. On July 12th of, when I get the giggles, I just can't stop it. It's like, okay. Letter C, camped out on the courthouse.
Camped.
Chicka, chicka, chicka.
Remix.
Chicka, chicka, chicka.
The human fly asked for permission to climb the courthouse using